Okay, let's take a moment and look at the disclaimer. This content is for educational, information, entertainment purposes only, and nothing should be taken as a recommendation to buy, sell, or hold any securities at any time. We're here just to tell you how BTA analyzes the markets, how we look at the markets, but nothing should be taken as a recommendation. This is Rod from BTA, and we are known as the middle traders. Now, what we're going to do now is look at the weekly charts. And the first thing I want to do is go to our Bollinger Band strategy. We've been waiting on this for almost a month now, okay? And it did signal. We hit the pivot. We hit the pivot officially. We hit the pivot today as far as this strategy is concerned. Okay, we definitely hit the pivot, all right? And let's expand it so you can see it here. Okay, let's expand it so you can see it. So this is our Bollinger Band. Okay, I'm gonna reduce it just a little bit because I want you to be able to see the actual upper band also. Now let's expand this one more time, right? Okay, so here we have our Bollinger Band up top. This upper band is the lower band. So we got below the band, we closed back inside the band last week. That was our signal week. Now we're working on the pivot. Well, we're well above the pivot point today. Okay, the Bollinger Band got below 20. We got below 20 here. We got a bullish crossover. It got back above 20. The RSI got below 30. Recycle above 30, and we well above 30 now. And we closed above the close of the pivot week. That was our pivot point. So technically, we hit the pivot today. We closed above it, no doubt. We hit the pivot. So for the QQQs, okay, the Bollinger Band strategy hit the pivot, and we should have taken an entry on the QQQs today, but we did not. And why did we not do it? Okay, well, let's go to the daily chart now, and let's look at the daily chart. Let's expand this, okay? I'm going to bring it up so you can see it, right? Well, the reason we didn't do it is because of this right here, okay? The volume was lower than, well below average, right? Well below average. The volume here is well below average, right? Here's the average. Here's the 50-day average of volume. The line of 50-day average of volume is well below average, and it was lower than the previous day, okay? So even though we hit the pivot on the weekly chart, we don't have volume coming in. And all week, right? All week. If we look at this from a weekly basis, if we look at all week, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, because we had a holiday. So all 4 days this week, okay, well, we got Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Okay, tomorrow is Friday. So I'm actually wrong on that. So we could take one off. But all week here, right, we got 3 days of trading so far. Tomorrow will be number 4, right? All week of trading, we haven't had one day that was above average volume, and we haven't had any days above average volume on the Qs, okay, since we had the first day rally attempt right here. So the volume is not coming in. So that's what made us hesitate. We don't want to start trading and we don't see any volume coming in, okay, because that can be a false move. What's the sign of weakness? A rebound rally on low volume. New highs on low volume, rebound rallies on low volume, relative strength line trending down. These are forms of weakness, right? So let's look at the unbalanced volume because the volume bars is clearly telling us there's no volume coming in, okay? Let's look at the volume bars here. Okay, this is the unbalanced volume chart, right? Where we got our up top, we got our line of closing prices. Here's the high. We broke above it, we came back to test it, and prices have broke above the high. Of its high. But look at the unbalanced volume. Prices on the unbalanced volume is not breaking above its high. Okay, the accumulation distribution line is clearly above its high, and the price volume trend is clearly above its high today. But the unbalanced volume is not. And we don't want to trade against the unbalanced volume. We just don't want to do that. The volume is not coming in. We don't see large institutional investors buying this rally right now because it's not showing up in the volume, okay? So that's the reason why we did not want to trade the Qs today. Now, granted, if you look at the moving averages, that's great, okay? The 5 is above the 9, The 9 is almost getting ready to cross above the 21-day. We found support today right at the 9 and the 21-day moving average. We can't beat that. Okay, you can't beat that. We found support right there. So it is finding support. Okay, we put a video out earlier today saying the volume was the market was on the edge. Okay, because it was testing right down to lowest in these key moving averages. We said if it didn't hold this, it was going to be a problem. If it broke below this, we might come back and test these lows. That's what we said. Well, it held. Okay, so that's good. So we held the 21-day moving average. That's wonderful. We held a 9 and we still above a 5-day moving average. Well, that's great. Let's look at lowest real fast. Here's the chart of lowest, okay? And as we can see, the NASDAQ, this is daily chart of lowest on the NASDAQ. And as we can see, okay, it held support, okay? It held support. Look where lowest is at. Look where this blue line here is lowest's line, showing us that we're in a bullish upswing. We came right down to it today, tested it, found support at lowest, found support at the 21-day moving average, and we bounced. The problem is the volume is not coming in. Okay, we need the large institutional investors to push this thing. The volume is not coming in. Now, it's some good things here. We found support, we held lowest, and we above this downward trend line across the highs. We are still above it. We held it and we still trading above it. Listen, that's great stuff. I can't deny that. We just need to see volume coming in, okay, to make us feel very comfortable on buying this thing. We don't want to buy a rebound rally on low volume. Not even one day of above average volume. That we really don't want to do, okay? So that's the problem with the NASDAQ. Now, let's go and let's look at the Dow Jones, okay? Let's look at the Dow Jones. Now, the Dow Jones is looking a lot better, okay? The Dow Jones is looking a lot better. But once again, let's expand this. Let's clean this up a little bit so you can see the Bollinger Bands easily. Okay, let's expand this and let's zoom in on it so you can see it. Okay, so you can see it. So look at the Bollinger Band up top. So today was the pivot. Okay, it's clear that we closed above last week, which was a signal week. We closed above the close of last week today. That's the pivot. This is the weekly chart of the DIA, the ETF that tracks the Dow Jones. Okay, so the close last week was 332.07. We had 332.77. So we closed 70 cents above the pivot. So no fear of missing out. We only 70 cent above the pivot. Only 70 cent. Okay. So we missed the pivot by 70 cent as of right now. It could gap up $2 or $3 in the morning, but hey, we only 70 cent above the pivot. Okay. As of right now. All right. That's the pivot. But we did not trade it today because the volume was low out there today. The volume was not looking that great. So we didn't want to take a move. Let's see how this thing play out tomorrow. Well, here we crossed the below 30 on the RSI. Recycling it got above 30. We've come a little flat near the 50. It's the 50 level. We need to get above that. We got below 20 on the stochastic. We got a bullish crossover, and the stochastic is moving up nicely. It's at 40. It's at 40 right now. We want to see if it get above its 50 level, right? So the stochastic is telling us that prices is moving higher and higher within this range. Prices are moving higher and higher within this range. It's closing higher and higher within this range. Okay. Well, so the Bollinger Band strategy has definitely hit for the Dow Jones. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. Okay. It hit. All right. That's facts. Can't deny that. Let's look at the daily chart now. Let's go down to the daily chart. Here's our daily chart of lowest, right? Well, lowest held support, okay? Cannot deny that. Lowest held support. Let's maximize it. Let's zoom in so we can see it. Here's lowest right here. She held support, okay? Here's the line. Here's lowest line right here. Below prices telling us we got an upswing. Here's the 21-day moving average. We did a video earlier today said prices today had to hold the 21-day moving average and lowest, and we want to stay above this support level at 326.06. If it broke below that and got below that, we said it might come back down to test these lows, but it held. Okay, it held. The market was on the edge this morning, and Lois told us it's on the edge, but it held. Okay, so that's good. That's excellent. That's what we want to see. All right. So what's the problem with the Dow Jones? That if all that's looking good, well, why we didn't take this trade? Okay. Well, let's look at something here. Right here. Here's a daily chart. Okay. Here's a daily chart. All right. Let's bring this down. I want to make sure you can see this. Okay. Here's a daily chart of the DIA. Well, this is why. The market closed at 332. We got a downward trending 50-day moving average at 335. It's only $3. We only 70 cents above the pivot. So if we gap up $3 tomorrow, it's safer for us. We feel it's safer because at least we get above this downward trending 50-day moving average. So the Dow Jones is coming upon a very, very, very. If we think the 21-day moving average was key resistance and need to hold support, the downward trending 50-day moving average would knock you clean out. Okay, if you go up against that and bump your head, all right, then the downward trending 50-day moving average can be a problem. So we rather wait for that extra $2 or $3. Let's see it get above this downward trending 50-day moving average, and then we'll take it from there. Okay, but if we can't get above that, if we get to there and get rejected, if we can't close above that downward 50-day moving average, then we want to wait on the DIA. We want to wait, okay, because we need to see it get above that. Now, as far as the unbalanced volume is concerned, right? Well, listen, I can't deny the DIA is showing that the volume is slightly coming in, okay? Because here's the previous high. Here's the previous high for the unbalanced volume. Here's the previous high for prices right there, right? So if I put a vertical line, let's drop a horizontal line across the high, the previous high right there, okay? So you see the line of closing prices is well above its previous high. Here's the previous high on the unbalanced volume. Well, we got above that, came back and tested that support and stayed above it. Now, look at the accumulation distribution line here, well above its highs and moving higher. Price volume trend is well above its high and moving higher. So volume is coming into the DIA, okay? I can't deny that. It might not be showing up on the volume bars. When we do a volume bar analysis, let's go to, you see here on the volume bars, right? On the volume bars, you can see that the volume is a little lower than the previous day, and all the volume is well below average, okay? So we having a rebound rally on low volume. That's a form of weakness. So the volume bars is telling us that the volume may not be coming in that great, but when we look at the unbalanced volume analysis, okay, if we look at the unbalanced volume analysis, we can see that prices, the line of closing prices is hitting new highs, and the volume is staying above its high, and they are leading and following prices as it move up. Well, that's what we want to see, okay? And we're seeing support with Lois on the daily chart, okay? So that's all good, all right? That's all good. When we look at the market profile, okay, if we just look at the market profile real quickly, all right, I'll bring this down. Let me bring this down, okay? And I'm going to expand this a little bit so you can see it, okay? Let me expand this a little bit so you can see it. Well, we're getting it right to this area, this high volume price point, right? This area here of around 332 and some change. This is volume by price. It tells us what price level the most volume has been coming in. So whenever you see these yellow lines at these peaks right here, not that, I'm sorry, here, like this, here, right here, where these red dashes come to one sharp yellow line, that's an area of price where the most volume has come in at. So right now, we're getting above this one, right? So basically, right around these highs is a high volume price area. That's a point of control. Well, we're starting to get to that. If we can get above that, then we may trade right back up to this point of control, which is around 347, okay? So that's not bad, all right? So we're starting to get above a high volume price area, a point of control. But that's good. So now let's look at the SPY, right? Let's go to the SPY, and let's start out with the SPY with the Bollinger Band, right? Let's go back to the weekly chart with the Bollinger Band. Okay, here's the SPY. Granted, I can't deny the SPY has hit. It hit the pivot. Today was the pivot on the SPY. We closed above last week's close, so we hit the pivot. Okay, can't deny that. So the Bollinger Band strategy for the SPY is in effect. So here is the SPY, the ETF that tracks the Standard & Poor's 500. The high is around 415.38. Okay, so if I put a horizontal line right around 415.38, let's see if we can get that. Okay, somewhere right around here. Okay, we closed at 417. It's only $2 higher than that. Okay, the RSI has hit 30, got above 30, and now we just flattening out around 50. We need to see it get above 50. It's at 44. The stochastic gave us a bullish crossover. It got below 20. Now it's above 20, and it's rising. It's at 32. That's all great. The histogram on the MACD is starting to get smaller and heading toward the zero line. So the Bollinger Band strategy for the Standard & Poor's is official. Okay, so everybody is, all the ETFs so far, the DIA, the Qs, and the Standard & Poor's Bollinger Band strategy has been hit. Today was the pivot, no ifs, ands, and buts about it. Okay, so now let's step down to the daily chart. Let's step down to the daily chart and see what it looks like. Well, here, if you look at the daily chart here, we found support right at the 21-day and the 9-day moving average, and we bounced. That's great. Look at the volume, lower than the previous day on the daily chart and well below average. Okay, we got a downward trend in 50-day moving average, but it's around 424. Okay, it's around 424. All right, right now we closed at 417. So you got a few dollars, about $8 or so, before you get to that downward trend in 50-day moving average. Okay, so that's okay. So that's not the real problem, right? So now let's look at the unbalanced volume analysis for the SPY, the ETF that tracks the Standard & Poor's 500. Let's expand it. Let's zoom in so we can see it. Well, here's the previous high on our line chart of closing prices. Is right here. Well, the SPY got above that, found support, and rallied. Here is the close is the high for the unbalanced volume, our previous high, and look what happened. Volume, the unbalanced volume, got above it, found support, and it's still up. Now, the accumulation distribution line is well above its prior high, right, from back on 517, and the price volume trend is doing the same, right? Now, so the only thing I can see with this chart that can cause an issue is, let me get another vertical line. Now look at this most recent high of 527. Look, if I move this line up, right? If I move this line up, well, the line chart of closing prices, this green line is a line chart of closing prices. It got above its most recent high of 527 right here. It broke above it today. But look at the unbalanced volume line. It ain't nowhere near it. The accumulation distribution line is barely above it. That's good. And the price volume trend is barely above it. That's good. But the unbalanced volume line is nowhere near it. We want to see that. That's the only negative I could say that I see on this chart. We want to see that volume coming in. Listen, we can go against a lot of things, but to go against the volume could be a problem. All right? To go against the volume could be a problem. Lowest is not looking bad on this chart. Okay? This is the chart of the SPY, daily chart of the SPY with Lois on it. She's not looking bad. You know, we came down. We did a video earlier today. Well, yes, we came down and we found support. I told you the market was on the edge, okay? The market was on the edge. If we break below, as you can see, here's the blue line for lowest. It's right below price. You can see we broke a little bit below it today and we got back above it and the market surged. It bounced off of it. Here is the 21-day moving average. We found support. We got above this here resistance area, which is now support at 408, and we got above the 410. and we got above the most recent high. So the SPY is moving up. Listen, if the thing followed through tomorrow on the SPY, then we have to take a small nibble on the SPY. Okay, if it continues to follow through tomorrow, if it opens up and it keeps trading up tomorrow, we might have to take a small nibble on the SPY because it's not much we could complain about on the SPY, right? So let's look at the daily chart let's look at the weekly chart of the SPY, right? And we're going to go to the moving averages now, okay? See the SPY with the moving averages, we are above the 8 week, okay? We are above the 8 week, so it's not much we could complain about on the SPY. We got about another $8 before, okay, it gets to the 50-day moving average, right? We looked at that. We above the 8 week. We got some volume coming in on the unbalanced volume line. It's not showing up on the volume bars, but it is coming in. Right now we have 417. We above the 8 week. The 13-week moving average is at 425. Okay, so that's about $8, like we said when we looked at the 50-day moving average. We found support right at the 100-week moving average right here. Here's the 100-week moving average. We found support right there. We found support right at the 4-week moving average. So we're above the 8, and we're coming back up toward the 13-week. So truthfully, the SPY is not looking that bad. Okay, the SPY is not looking that bad. The DIA, okay, granted, is not looking that bad either. But the only problem with the DIA that we can honestly say, the only problem with the DIA is that 50-week moving average, right? So the DIA and the SPY is right now looking like some of the two best as of right now, because with the DIA, we are above. This is a weekly chart of the DIA, right? So we are right now, we got above the 8, right? We got above the 8. And we're coming right up against the 13-week, this downward trending 13-week. The yellow line is the 13-week moving average. Let me expand this so we can see it. Make sure we see this well, okay? Because I want everybody to be able to see this, all right? So now, here's the downward trending 13-week moving average. It's at 335. We closed at 332. It's only like $3 more. That's what we said on the daily chart with the 50-day moving average. Remember, we looked at the daily chart of the DIA with the 50-day moving average. Okay, so let's go back to that daily chart so we can just remember. I want to reiterate the fact that the only thing we're waiting on really is because the 50-day moving average is so close. Look at this downward trend in 50-day moving average. It's at 335, right, with the 13-week moving average. And price is at 332. It's only $3. So we figure we'll wait to see if prices could get above the 50-day moving average on the DIA. If we could get above the 50-day moving average on the DIA, well, we really can't complain too much. Even though the volume bars are not showing it, the unbalanced volume is showing that at least volume is kind of holding up. Okay, it's above its prior high from 517, and at least it's holding above it. Okay, so the DIA, out of all of the major indexes we looked at so far, between the Qs, the DIA, and the SPY, the DIA, we're going to wait a little bit more, see if we get to $3, right? The SPY, okay, well, the SPY, the 50-day moving average on the SPY is $8 away, okay? So we got a little ways to go, okay? So we could take a chance. At least we get some cushion. If we run up to the 50-day moving average and it bounce back, that's fine. But at least we got some cushion so we don't take a major hit, right? And then if you look at the weekly chart, okay, let's go to the weekly chart. If you look at the weekly chart, the 13-week moving average, all right, the 13-week moving average is also about $8 away, okay? So let's expand that. Now we're back on the weekly chart. We're on the weekly chart of the SPY. And look at the 13-week moving average is at 425. The price is closed today at 417, about $8 away, right? So tomorrow, if the SPYs follow through, we might have to take a small position in the SPY. If the DIA, we're going to wait and see what happens on the 50-day moving average. The Qs, the volume is not there. The volume just is not there. The volume is just not there. It can't do it. Okay. So here, let's look at the IWM real fast. Okay. Let's look at the IWM and say, well, what's the issue with the IWM, Rod? Well, let's look at right now. Okay, the Bollinger Band. Okay, can't deny it. Can't say anything about it. Okay, the Bollinger Band strategy has hit. Okay, can't deny that. Here's last week's close. Here's today. We got above last week's close. The RSI got below 30. It's back above 30 now. It's heading toward the 50, but it's flat. Here's the stochastic. We got below 20. We got a bullish crossover right here. It got back above 20 and it's trending up. It's around 35 right now. The MACD histogram is getting smaller, trying to get back to the zero line and trying to see if it's going to turn positive. So momentum is coming in. Okay, so the IWM is definitely has hit the pivot. Okay, so all of the major index ETFs so far hit the pivot, right? Almost all of them. But let's see what's the problem. What's the problem with the IWM? Well, let's go down to the daily chart. Okay, let's go down to the daily chart real quick. Look at that daily chart. Right now, we close at 188. If downward trending 50-day moving average, downward trending 50-day moving average is at 191. Okay, the downward trending 50-day moving average is at 191. So 188 it closed, and 191 is the downward trending 50-day moving average. That's only $3 for the IWM, right? So we gotta wait and see what happens when it gets above for $3. I'd rather give away the first three and don't get caught in the downdraft, right? Let's see if we get above the 50-day and hold support. The volume is lower than the previous day. That's no good, and it's below average. That's no good. No volume is coming in. Institutional investors are not really buying this thing, right? According to the volume bar. So let's see now. That's according to the volume bar. Let's see what the unbalanced volume analysis look like. Well, the unbalanced volume analysis is telling us the same thing. The unbalanced volume analysis is telling us the same thing. Okay, look, the volume, unbalanced volume analysis tells us the volume is not really coming in. Here's the previous high for the volume. Here's the previous high from 517 of the line of closing prices. We got above it, and we on the closing price, the line of closing price, and we moving up. Well, look at the unbalanced volume. Resistance again. Got above it here, traded back below it, and we still below it. We had not breaking above it along with price. We need to see that happen maybe tomorrow, and that'll be nice. Here's the accumulation distribution. It's prior high from 517. We well above it. Here's the price volume trend down here below. It's prior high from 517. We well above it. So we need to see the volume coming in. Okay, on the IWM. The volume is not there. So the QQQs is clearly no volume. Okay, so that's clear. No volume on the QQQs. The IWM, we need to see the volume coming in. Plus, we got to wait for that extra $2 or $3 to see if we get above the 50-day, right? To get above the 50-day for that extra $2 or $3. You know what I'm saying? That extra $2 or $3 is not worth it to bump your head up on that 50-day and it get rejected. And you get caught in the downdraft. And for what? To give the market money for what? It doesn't make any sense. To us, it doesn't make any sense. And we can wait for the extra $2 or $3 and see what happens. Now, let's look at Lois. Now, Lois did her job. That's what I'm trying to tell everybody. Lois is not going to fail you. Okay? Lois is not going to fail you. She did her job. Okay? Let's see what she looked like, right? Look at Lois right here. Okay? Here's Lois below price, showing us that we are in a upswing right here. Okay, let's expand this so we can see it a little better. Here, we got the line below prices saying that she was in an upswing, right? Lois is in an upswing. Here's the yellow line is a 21-day moving average. We did the video earlier saying we had to hold support on this. If we break below this and come below this internal trend line, we might test these lows. Well, she held support and she bounced. And she also got above the 187.71. The only thing we got left right now is this downward trend line across the highs. But not only that, don't forget about the 50-day moving average that's right above us for $3. So the IWM is not looking that bad. We just need to see the volume come in, and we got to give it another $3 or so to see if she could get above the 50-day moving average. Okay, the DIA is in the same boat. Okay, the DIA is in the same boat. This is the IWM. We're right near that 50-day moving average. Here's the DIA. We're right near that 50-day moving average, only $3 away, right? Now, let's bring up that weekly chart for the IWM, right? Because I want you to see something about that 13-week moving average, okay? Here's the IWM. Let's go, let's minimize this, and let's go here, okay? Look at that 13-week moving average staring you right in the face. Okay, we're above the 8. We're above the 8, but the 13-week is right there. Okay, so we have 188. Right now we close. The 13-week is at 192. We're talking about $4 basically. All right, so it's $3 to the 50-day, and it's $4 to the 13-week. Why not just wait? In our book, we rather wait, okay, and see if we can get above these really strong long-term, intermediate, medium-term, going into long-term moving averages. All right, let's see if we can get above that. This thing can get to that and get rejected. All right, so I don't know. Let's see what happens. I will tell you that in the aftermarket, this market is still trading up. Okay, so even though the volume is not coming in, this market is still trading up in the aftermarket for whatever reason, right? So maybe the thing got legs. But I'd rather see this this IWM get above that 50-day moving average and above that 13-week before I put my money out there. Now here, this is the last one we're going to look at. This is it. Let's look at the ITOT, okay? This is the ITOT. Now, if we look at the Bollinger Bands, let's take all this off. Let's just go straight up and look at the Bollinger Band, okay, for the ITOT. All right, so now look for the ITOT here. We definitely hit the pivot today. We definitely hit the pivot today. So now the high of the pivot, this market closed at a close of 92.33. We are at 92.83. So a couple of pennies above. We know the ITOT only moves $2 or $3 in a day. Okay, so it's not going to be that far away. Well, look, right here, the ITOT has hit the pivot. The RSI got below 30 and recycle is above 30. That's great. Let's go right here and expand this so we can see it. The RSI got above 30, got below 30, and now it's back above 30. Okay, the stochastic got below 20, gave us a bullish crossover. Now it's above 20, and it's trending up. The MACD histogram is starting to move up, showing this momentum is coming in and is heading toward the zero line. So as far as the Bollinger Band strategy for the ITOT, it hit. Okay, so the ITOT is not looking that bad, right? ITOT is not looking that bad. Okay, now let's look at the ITOT. Let's step down to the daily chart and see what we're looking like, okay? So let's go down to the daily chart. Let's bring up a daily chart of the ITOT. Well, look, the ITOT is a held support at the 21-day moving average. Let's expand this so we can see it, okay? It held support at the 21-day moving average right here. It held support at the 21-day moving average. It's above the 5. The 50-day moving average right above head. It's at 94. We at 92.83, okay? But we can see the volume was very low, well below average, well below the previous day. So the volume bars is telling us it wasn't a lot of volume that came in on the ITOT either, okay? So let's look at the unbalanced volume analysis and see what it looks like, okay? Now, the unbalanced volume is saying, hey, the volume bars might not be showing you that the volume is there, but the unbalanced volume analysis, the lines are saying, well, it's not all that bad, okay? Because look, here's the ITOT. Up top, we got the line of closing prices. Here's the ITOT. Here's the previous high. Well, we broke above that on the line chart of closing prices, found support and bounced. Here is the high, right? On the unbalanced volume, the previous high from 517. We got above it. It's traded above it, came back to hold support, and now it's up. On the accumulation distribution line, the prior high, we above that also. It got above its prior high, and it's trending up. The price volume trend is above its prior high, and it's trending up. So the ITOT is saying, hey, it signaled on the weekly Bollinger Band strategy. It's above the key moving averages. It only moves $2 or $3 in a day, right? It only moves $2 or $3 in a day. And you're about $3 away from the 50-day downward trending 50-day moving average, okay? So you got it only, even though it's only $3 away, it only moves $2 or $3 in a day. The Dow Jones is $3 away, but it can move $8, $9 in a day, okay? As a matter of fact, look right down here at the bottom. You can see the ATR on the ITOT is $2.19. So you got about 2 days of price movement before you get to the 50-day moving average. If you look at the Qs, the average true range for the Qs is $9.66. So we said the DIA was $3 away, right? Well, let's go to the DIA. It's $6.64. So we can hit that tomorrow. But for the ITOT, it's not as close. You see, so the ITOT is setting up, it's actually saying, well, it's not that bad. We could actually maybe take a position in the ITOT tomorrow because it's really not that bad. And the Bollinger Band strategy has been hit. So let's go to the weekly chart. And let's look at the weekly moving averages on the ITOT and see what we can see. Well, guess what? The only thing that me and my daughter were discussing today, all right, is the 100-week moving average, and we just got above it today. So let's see how it closes, all right? So the ITOT is not looking that bad, all right? Here's that 100-week moving average. The 100-week moving average is at 92.70, all right? Look at that 100-week moving average right here. Here's the 100-week moving average. Here's the 100-week moving average right here. It's at 92.70. We closed at 92.38. We're right above the pivot from last week. We're right above last week's close. From the last week's close, right above it and right above the pivot. We're above the 8-week moving average, and not that green line is the 8-week moving average, and we found support right at the 4-week moving average. And we just got above the 100-week, which is a very long-term moving average there, that 100-week. Okay, so that is a good sign. So the ITOT, we waited today because we wanted to see if it can close above the 100-week moving average. We like to take our time, right? We don't want to get caught. We don't want to get caught in, okay, we're middle traders, bottom line. We rather wait and play the middle. We're not trying to get every dollar out the move. We're not trying to get the whole thing. We just want to get a little bit off the middle. That's enough for us. Okay, so the ITOT is not bad. So to sum it all up, almost all of the major market ETFs, the ETF that tracks the major market indexes, all of them has signaled our Bollinger Band strategy. Because of the volume, we did not go in today because today was a day that the market traded up on very low volume. Okay, the volume was low across the board, basically. Okay, so that was the reason we held up on taking any positions today. Let's see how the market opens up tomorrow, okay? But granted, out of all the major market ETFs, the Qs has absolutely no volume in there. So that one we have to wait altogether. The IWM has a little bit of volume there, okay, but it still needs to improve. The volume is not that great. And it's coming upon the 50-day moving average, okay? And the 13-week moving average is only $4 away. So we'll wait on the IWM. The DIA is not that bad. The only thing about the DIA is that, so the IWM and the Qs, let's take that off the table for this week. The DIA is not that bad, but it's coming up upon the 50-day moving average, which is $3 away. We want to wait on the DIA for the $3. We're going to wait on the DIA for the $3. The SPY, it's not much we could complain about on the SPY. It hit the pivot. It's there. It's the volume is really not that bad. The 50-day moving average, the 13-week moving average, and things like that is, we got $8 or $9 away from it. Here's the SPY one more time just to go over it. And you see the 13-week moving average, okay? The 13-week moving average is about $8 from where we closed at today. The 13-week at 425, we at 417, okay? So the 13-week moving average is, is about $8 away, okay? And if we go down to the daily chart of the average true range, the average true range on the SPY is like $9, okay? So, right here you can see it's at $9. All right, we about $8 away. So it got one full day, one real full day, okay? Not like the Qs, okay, or the Dow where it's $6 and we only $3 away from the 50-day moving average. Right here we got basically almost one full day away from the 50-day moving average, okay, on the average true range. So the SPY, that's about the only thing we could complain about on the SPY. So maybe we can take a smaller position in the SPY, right? We always know, according to our trading plan, we're going to go in slow. So, of course, we're going to go in slow. That goes without being said. That goes without saying. We're going to go in slow. So the SPY may be a go tomorrow. Let's see how it opens up. If it can stay above the pivot point, it's a go. That'd probably be a go. Small, even smaller, okay, on the SPY. The ITOT, okay, is the less volatile, got the smaller ATR, only moves about $2 a day. It's actually looking the best, to sum it all up. The volume is there. Okay, the volume is there. It's definitely one full day. It's more than one full day away. Okay, if we look at the ITOT, right? The ITOT right now is, let's look at the ITOT. Let's bring it up one time here. We got above the 100-week moving average, which is a real plus. That's a long-term moving average that could have held resistance. We got above the 100-week moving average. That's a real plus, right? So that's a plus for the ITOT. We above it. We just need to hold above it tomorrow, okay? Because right now we only a few pennies above it. We're above the 8-week moving average, and we're above the 4-week, and we're about just say $2 away from the 13-week, which is this yellow line, which is the 13-week, it's this yellow moving average. So the ITOT is about $2 away. Well, so we just got to stay above that 100-week moving average, okay? That's the main thing. If that holds, then we probably going to go into the ITOT tomorrow. And if you see here, we're about $2 away from this downward trending 50-day moving average, okay, which is this red line here. And the average true range is only $2. So we got almost one full day. So for the SPY, we got one full day, right? The DIA is looking really good, but we got to see if we get above that 50-day moving average. And the ITOT is one full day away from the downward trend. The 50-day is one full day away from the 13-week moving average. It just has to stay above. Its 100-week moving average. So, in summary, ITOT tomorrow may be a go if it stays above its 100-week moving average. ITOT may be a go tomorrow for a small position. The SPY, if it could stay above its high tomorrow, it could be a go for even a smaller position because the ATR is so wide. And the DIA, we got to see if we could get that extra $3 and get above the 50-day moving average. So the ITOT looking the best, the SPY and the DIA. Those are the ones we're looking at for tomorrow. If the market follows through and it doesn't trade back below the pivot point and it can stay strong and get above those little areas we talked about, then guess what? Then we're going to take our small positions in those ETFs and we'll see what happens next week. So until then, all right, like I told y'all, I'm going to be out of town next week, but I'm going to still try to do some updates, okay? I'm going to do my best to try to do some updates from the hotel, all right? So y'all just keep an eye out on the YouTube channel. I'm going to try to send those updates through. It may be kind of difficult to send out the major market swing signal. I'm going to try my best. It may be kind of difficult, but I'm definitely going to try my best. But I'll be definitely trying to also try my best to put up some videos next week from the hotel room. Hopefully the Wi-Fi and everything works out. I'll be working from a laptop. But we see what I gave you my blueprint, what we're going to do here at BTA. If everything works out tomorrow, we'll be going in for small positions and see what happens. All right, so everybody stay safe, and thanks a lot. Until the next time. Talk to y'all later.